Pets Life with Gym Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet. Managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit at petslife.ie.
Home stretch coming in towards, we're into December, third day in fact, and only a couple of more of these before now and Christmas with Des, and we are looking forward to that. When as closer comes, we'll chat more about stuff to do in the lead-in for your animals as well. But at the moment, we're into the first week of it as well. We went through a couple of tough issues we discussed over the last couple of weeks or so, but now we're easing away back in. Cats and them, dogs and cats predominantly, but cats themselves, they're a funny old creature, Des, aren't they?
Yeah, cats are a funny creature, John. The world is divided into people who are cat lovers or dog lovers.
Yeah.
It's rare that you get a pet owner who loves both.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have cat people and dog people. There you go. A lot of it's to do with people's different lifestyles.
Yeah.
Cats suit apartment dwellers. They suit people living in towns and living in smaller houses. There's a perception that a cat is a more convenient pet, which they are in ways because they're more self-reliant. They obviously need less space. Hopefully, if you get a cat, that you have a setup that you can let the cat come and go and be partially outdoors and partially indoors. So it seems strange with frost on the ground to be talking about cat breeding, because cat breeding is more of a spring-summer problem. But we're highlighting it now because in the spring, all of the younger kittens that were born in the autumn, they'll be breeding again. And cat numbers, John, out there, the cat population is out of control.
From the time a cat is born and is a kitten to the time they become, I suppose, ready to rock and roll and jump into the land of I suppose, having a bit of fun. What age do cats start, I suppose, being
fertile?
Fertile,
a few months, John.
Yeah, both sexes?
Both sexes. It has been known for the females to become pregnant at 5 months.
Wow.
Typically 5 to 7 months.
That's a baby having
so
babies.
There's an estimate done that one female in 18 months, less than 2 years, can produce 164 offspring.
Wow. Yeah. There's no wonder cats are out of control.
Yeah, now the Cats Protection League in the UK, they have some statistics on it, and they reckon that lots of cats are now having 3 litters a year in the wild.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now, they're putting it down in the south of England, believe it or not. They're putting it down to climate change. So cats are seasonal breeders, and they do come into heat in the warmer weather. They have a very short pregnancy, a 63-day pregnancy.
Is it only 2 months?
Yeah, it's only 2 months, 9 weeks. So 2 months like that, and they can become pregnant again very quickly. So it's conceivable that they can have 3 litters a year. Yeah, and the reason why they say is because of climate change, because of the warmer weather. They're coming into heat more often. They're having more litters.
Okay.
And the wild cat population is exploding.
Right. Now, we know that this particular information and stats is coming from the UK, but that obviously has a huge knock-on effect to us over here.
It has. The knock-on effect is that every trend that starts in Britain moves over to here. Lifestyle trends on the human side and the animal side. We see the same things happening here. Sometimes they have the better control on the data. The reason being that in the UK, as regards cats, it's the law to microchip a cat.
Okay.
So they have slightly better data on cats than we have here. But the Battersea Dogs and Cats Home, for instance, they reckon since COVID, the UK cat population has increased by 12 million.
Say that again, 12 million increased?
Yeah, in a few years. Cats in the UK. Yeah.
And what is because of COVID? Because
so some people got a dog during COVID.
Yeah.
But in the urban populations, urban areas, people got a cat.
Right.
And then these cats bred and bred.
And not be neutered and not be neutered.
No, so a couple of months ago, we came up with this idea in our practice of doing a cat neutering and cat spaying promotion, try and highlight that problem. So we've been doing it for half price since September.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll keep running it to the end of the year, half price, cat spays, cat neuters.
Right, and the reason being is because you want to control even in our area.
Yeah, see the kitten numbers increasing, and they'll breed in the spring.
Yeah.
And the cat numbers will be rampant out there. The difficulty with it is, you see, that it's not just that we're worried about these extra cats and all the rest of it. The problem is when you have more cats in the wild together, the illnesses multiply.
Yes.
And there are a number of incurable cat viruses that become rampant when the feral cat colonies increase in numbers. So this is the problem. Feline leukemia virus, feline immune deficiency, feline AIDS virus, and 3 types of cat flu. We have very few treatments for those. Some of them we can't. Some of those diseases, viruses, we can't treat them at all. So it's distressing, it's difficult, it's problematic. Vets don't like being presented with these problems because there's a level of helplessness there. The very, very sick kittens, very, very sick cats will have to be put to sleep.
Okay.
So if we can reduce the cat numbers, then we can reduce the problems with these viruses.
But no offence, Des, at the moment, regarding I'm one of those days. The catteries out there.
Yeah.
There's not as many of them as there is, say, dog pounds or dog rescue centres. So the problem is that there is more feral cats because you can't kind of control the cats.
There are less places to bring them here.
Yes.
Now, the KWWSPCA and so on, and all the charities here, they will take cats, but primarily they're set up, I think, to take dogs.
Okay.
Now, the KSPCA have a very good support scheme of supporting cat owners to get their cats neutered and have them brought into vets. They'll offer vouchers and so on, and the Dogs Trust will too.
I mean, the one thing which I think positively, as a cat owner, and that was just about kind of work style and lifestyle throughout the years with both was working, and just that was the reason why we had cats more so than we didn't want to leave dogs at home by themselves.
Yeah.
But I remember, looking at the various different websites and Facebook pages. There's cat pages upon cat pages on Facebook and social media out there, all doing positive things, trying to rehoming, trying to fostering. It's a huge effort to try and control her, isn't it?
If you get your cat spayed while she's tame, the amount of work and trouble it saves is amazing, because it's a real job of work, of time and effort, to reduce the feral cat or the wild cat population, because the difficulty with them is that they become wild.
Yeah.
The ones even that were tame, within a half a year, they're half feral.
Yeah.
And then their kittens are going to be completely feral. So in terms of trying to reduce the numbers of those, you have to catch them. Now that'll involve having to trap them, because they're not tame, they can't be caught.
That was my next question.
So it takes a lot of work to trap or catch these semi-ferals.
Is that the reason why people just don't bother? Because they have no way of getting them, no way of, you can feed them, you can whatever. But
you have these long rectangular cat traps, which are cages with a flappy door on them, and you have to put food in, get the cat hopefully to go in to get the food, then the trap door closes behind them, and you have your cat in a box. That's just one cat. Then that box has to be brought to the vets. That cat has to be neutered and brought back, and you might have to try and do that 20 times, and they get wise to it.
Yeah,
they're able to get in like clever mice. They're able to get in and get the bit of food and avoid the trap. Right. And by the second time that they've seen their pal being caught, some of them will stay away from it completely. Right,
knowing what's coming. Yeah.
Knowing what's coming. So you have these volunteers toing and froing from waste ground areas trying to catch traps.
But what happens
for weeks and weeks maybe?
So if you take in a feral cat, right, and you bring it in, you do the neutering, what happens to the cat after that if it's a feral cat?
It's released.
It's released back out into
the same location.
Okay.
It can't breed.
Yeah.
But it can live a happy, hopefully healthy life.
Because, as you said before, hundreds of times.
Because they're self-reliant.
Yes. Cats are able to survive.
They're able to survive. They're able to hunt. They're able to feed themselves on rodents and voles and moles and shrews and all the little creatures that they catch.
I read, and it was actually an article, one of the UK articles as well, it said that the advantages as well regarding feral cats being neutered is they hunt better after they're neutered.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because
they remain healthier. So the unneutered ones are forever catching flus and diseases from each other.
Yeah.
So the neutered ones are healthier.
So do you just take in a cat, neuter it and send it back on its way, or do you give it a couple of injections and away you go?
We do a little clinical exam and make sure that it looks healthy enough to have an anaesthetic.
Yeah.
And if we think it's not healthy enough to have an anaesthetic, we'll do a pinprick blood test and check it for AIDS and leukemia.
Right, okay.
And if it has AIDS or leukemia and it's a feral cat, then
it's
more than 50-50 it'll be euthanized.
Yeah.
Because we can't throw it back out into the wild to spread its disease.
Okay, and what about the UK? We know from this article, that's the reason why we're talking about it, because they were having the stats and we're able to talk about it. There's 12 million extra cats in the UK that came as a result of COVID, presumably along that line.
Yeah.
What happens to those guys? They're going to be increasing the population further.
they'll increase the population further. God knows what it'll be in another couple of years. And in the meantime, the welfare charities are doubling their efforts to trap and neuter these. So they'll trap and neuter and release the healthy ones.
But they'll never catch up with those
They'll
numbers.
trap and they'll euthanize the unhealthy ones.
Right, okay.
And it's a constant cycle of an uphill struggle to control cat populations.
Okay.
Now, on farms, a few cats around the place are great. Farmers love to have a few cats.
Yes.
It keeps the rodent levels down, keeps the rodents out of the milk parlour, and so on. But after a while, if feral cat populations build up around the farms, they're surviving and thriving on the rats and cats and mice.
That brings disease
That
towards the
further
animal
disease.
livestock.
Yes, that brings further disease to the livestock. Then you have ringworm and all kinds of other diseases being spread by the cats amongst the cattle and sheep. So then, even in a farm setting, numbers become a problem, become a nuisance.
Okay. I was reading an article from a while ago back. It was within the last year or so, and it was about Ockram Cat Rescue and Trap Neuter Return, where they visit farms in Wicklow, the greater Wicklow area. They, first of all, trap stray cats, bring them to get neutered, and then return them back through the farm system. But this time, they're a healthier cat as a result. That's a pretty good idea, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a great idea. Now, a certain amount of them will be diseased, and
Yes,
then they might not be returned. So the ones you wouldn't return, you're not going to return anything that's positive for feline leukemia virus or FIV, feline immune deficiency virus. Little kittens if we trap and catch the kittens and they have a touch of cat flu, we can treat it.
Yeah.
And they'll be healthier afterwards, and they can't pass it. They won't pass it on.
Okay. Ironically, just the particular article that I was reading, but I was mentioned to you off air a few moments ago back, was similar to what you were saying about, cats these days, if they're not looked after, could end up having 3 litters a year. And subsequently, would the mortality rate be high in those if they're feral, or would they survive?
They survive. They actually survive. They're remarkably resilient. Unless it's a densely populated colony and one of the nasty viruses has gotten into the colony, you'll get these very diseased kittens that don't survive. But other than that, by and large, in rural areas, if they've got space, the survival rate amongst them is remarkably high.
Okay.
And the difficulty with that type of overpopulation is that they create an imbalance in the bird populations as well.
Okay. Right, a couple of questions coming in regarding cats. First of all, how can you keep out cats from your garden? They already killed 2 of my kids' little bunnies and sleep on my pergola and leave fur everywhere. And they come into my house through the open windows. I'm sick of them. They don't understand why people leave their pets out like that.
Yeah.
Well, cats are different. They roam.
So ask in the garden centres or the big hardware stores. There is a product you can get to put on your fence and put on the wall which repels cats.
Okay.
That's the first thing. Second thing is, don't put any food out. If you're a pet owner and you have dogs and cats, don't put any food outside.
Yeah.
Because any type of food, dog food or cat food, will attract stray cats.
Yeah.
And they'll hang around.
Yeah.
And if they've gotten lucky and they've gotten food that was left in a bowl, if they've gotten food once, they'll come back and look for it again. So to get the strays to move on their way, don't have any resources in the garden to attract them.
Yeah, but even cats that are not feral still kind of will wander around from house to house nicking food anyway, or looking for food.
Yeah, they go on their rounds, don't they, John? They get food anywhere, everywhere, and everywhere.
I am sure my cat does that. I'm sure the neighbour's cat does that. One of the neighbour's cats, which is a fabulous cat, he's like part of our family, to be honest with you, although my fella doesn't like it. But at the same time, they seem to wander around. Another cat question. My Tom is 2 years old. Subsequently, he's been living mostly for the last 2 years on dry food. He totally went off it quite recently. We broke our rule. We gave him a little bit of a sachet. Subsequently, it was a wet jelly type food. He now loves it very much. We then tried to introduce him back to the other, and he's not eating the dry food anymore.
Yeah.
But I think you said before, try and mix it.
You can mix it. Make a nice paste with the wet food and the dry food mixed together. And you'll attract him. You'll entice him back onto his dry food that way. Any other listeners out there, if this is happening, that your cat is becoming fussy, just don't give in. Put a little bit less in the bowl until they're hungry. The likelihood is that if they're not hungry and they're going off their food, it's because they're getting food somewhere else in the neighbourhood. So somebody else is probably feeding your cat as well as yourself. So do be aware of that. It's not just that they're becoming fussy or picky or that they need a change. They're probably being fed elsewhere.
And they're getting all sorts of stuff or whatever else.
So they're just not hungry by the time they come home sometimes.
Yeah, because I think there is around the county, around general areas, there seems to be more, you seem to see cats more often in housing estates.
Yeah, you do. This is why I think even the Irish cat population numbers are probably increasing. Yeah, we've neutered 100 and something since we began that campaign in September. Male and cat, the half price promotion. We've neutered 110 or 105. Okay.
So what happens? How do people go about booking it in?
Just give us a buzz at Kildare Vet Surgery, or look it up on petslife.ie for more information. But do give us a buzz at Kildare Vet Surgery. Okay, and
from there, so what's the procedure? They come in, you bring them in the little old cat box or whatever
bring
else.
A cat in the cat box. Don't give them that breakfast their breakfast that morning, so they have to be fasting. Pop them into the cat box nice and early in the morning, so they don't get a chance to figure out something's happening and run away. Present them into us 8:30 to 9. We'll give them an anaesthetic and do the neutering procedure, and we'll get them home from lunchtime to the afternoon onwards.
Okay. Maria was on. She says she's got 2 cats. One is always cleaning themselves, which creates fur balls in itself. I think we mentioned something like this last week. Yeah. Fur balls in itself. So obviously vomiting up their food all the time, but doesn't have any problems with appetite. Doesn't seem to be drinking much.
Yeah, they don't. They tend to get enough water from their food, and they might just drink a little bit of flowing water. They prefer flowing water. So if you have a cat that's getting out and about, he's having a drink from his favourite outdoor location where there's fresh water, perhaps fresh rainwater. They'll only drink still water in a bowl if they have to.
Yeah.
Oftentimes you will not notice a cat drinking, and that's okay. If you notice your cat drinking a lot, there's something wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
So there you go.
Look, I've seen cats sitting on roofs of cars, licking the roofs of the cars on the rainy day.
Yeah.
They do some stuff like that more so than lick it out of the bowl, or you'll see them licking the leaves or the drips off the leaves in the rain. You'll see
it's
them
only
drink.
A drop here and there.
Yeah.
The amount of water they need is very little. They derive a certain amount of moisture from their food. If you notice a cat making a habit of drinking like a dog would, there's something wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So diabetes or kidney disease or a urinary tract infection, any of these things we have to suspect if owners report to us that they're noticing their cats drinking.
Is that going down to the makeup of cats? Because when you think of the big cats that live in Africa, they're able to survive.
It goes all the way back to evolution. Our modern domestic cat is derived from a species of lynx that was native in Mesopotamia, which is the Arabian desert area.
Did you even notice that?
8 to 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Cats were first domesticated, I think, about 8,000 years ago in Mesopotamia. Around about the time that agriculture started, farmers began to domesticate cats as a way of keeping rodents away from the grain stores. There you go. Now, dogs were domesticated between 40 and 50,000 years ago, we think. Right. So cats are a much newer species in terms of their level of domestication.
Right.
But the domestic cats, that small house cat that we have all over the world, they're all descended from this one species of small-sized wild cat, which is a type of lynx from Mesopotamia. It's a desert cat.
Yeah.
So they're desert dwellers. So they have a different water metabolism to dogs from temperate zones.
Okay. A few people actually commenting on our segment today, just concentrating on cats. I'm a dog lover, says Mary, but she said this conversation that you're having about cats is absolutely brilliant. Thanks very much, guys. And Quincy Quinn here. I love this segment. Very entertainment and education regarding cats too. Thank you for the kind comment. Brian wants to know, how do you go about snipping long nails on cats?
We use a small dog nail clippers.
Okay, yeah.
And we would snip the nails of house cats.
Yeah.
Just for convenience, really, so they do less damage on the furniture.
But cats seem to kind of look after their own claws themselves.
They prefer to look after their own claws. It's part of their hygiene routine. So people with indoor cats, they should provide scratching posts. And if you have a few nice favoured locations around the apartment, around the house, where the cat gravitates to and scratches his nails and files down his nails and amuses himself in that way on the scratching post, then he should leave your furniture alone.
Yeah.
He'll focus on the places he likes.
What does it mean when a cat exposes his nails while purring? My cat does this, right? Now, he kind of, he's very affectionate, but he opens out his paws, the nails are exposed. He doesn't try to scratch it, but he does, but he's not being vicious or anything like that. He's actually purring while doing it.
Yeah, so they're stretching. That's a relaxation behaviour of stretching.
Right, okay.
So it's totally harmless. Now, in play, they actually, when they're playing amongst themselves, they expose their nails to each other as a way of... it's a kind of play fighting.
Right, okay, right, fair enough.
Normally speaking, even kittens playing amongst themselves, they keep their nails guarded or folded in.
Okay.
Now, I wouldn't encourage your cat to expose their own nails. If they do, when young kittens start to expose their nails and scratch children, give them a little tap on the claws, tap on the paws like that, and let them know that it's not appropriate to expose their nails.
They'll get the message.
And they'll get the message, and they'll learn to play with their nails folded.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, great way to end up. Well done to everybody. Of course, regarding Des' deal on cats at the moment, it runs till the end of the year. Is it the end of the year?
Yeah, end of the year.
Yeah,
the end of the year. If they're booked now, we'll extend it into January.
Okay, right.
And hopefully it'll help us. Hopefully it'll help us to keep the kitten numbers down in the spring.
Okay, good stuff. We'll talk to Des again next week here on A Pet's Life with Jim Dog. Thank you, Des.
It's A Pet's Life with Jim Dog, Ireland's first pet resort by Des the Vet, managed by vets, loved by pets. Daycare, vet care, premium pet food and grooming. Visit atpetslife.ie.